It's a Monday here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. A lot to talk about on the show, which is presented by PrizePicks, and I hope all of the real ones out there had a fantastic weekend. We have a new A.J. Brown trade report, two players who could come back in an A.J. trade, and it turns out that Jalen Hurts is coachable. Let's talk about it right now. And of course, this is Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. Thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. We have new developments on the A.J. Brown trade front. I know on this show, we haven't talked about A.J. in a little while because we were so focused on the NFL draft and the aftermath of that. But it seems as though a trade, as we know, isn't a matter of if, but when one of the top wide receivers in football and arguably the best wide receiver in franchise history does get dealt. And all along over the last several months, if you even go back to 2023, it's been the New England Patriots as the team most popular mentioned as the place that AJ is going to be playing after his Eagles career is over. But new teams are now emerging as destinations outside of New England for the services of A.J. Brown. And I think this is ideal and great news for Philadelphia. If they only have one team that's interested in A.J., there isn't a bidding war to drive the price tag up. But if multiple teams are interested in A.J., Howie Roseman can use that at his disposal to try to get the New England Patriots to pay up to meet the high price demand that Howie Roseman has put out there for AJ because he doesn't want to give them away, obviously, for pennies in a bag of footballs. And so the New England Patriots have been the most popular mentioned team that is obsessed with the idea of trading for AJ Brown. You trade AJ to New England, and from New England's standpoint, Drake May is in that rookie contract for the next couple of years, and he's going to be very affordable over the next few seasons. What do the Patriots do in free agency? They signed Romeo Doubs. And so an A.J. Brown, Romeo Doubs 1-2 punch at wide receiver is far better than what New England had last year. And throughout the remainder of Drake May's rookie contract, that sets up nicely for New England until they have to give May a monster contract, which obviously changes the team's spending elsewhere across the rest of the roster. But the Kansas City Chiefs sneakily are emerging as a team that is still interested in AJ. The San Francisco 49ers, according to reports, could be a destination for his services as well. And then a new team here that I want to focus in on that we really haven't talked about much throughout this process as these rumors have remained hot, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars are an interesting team if they are interested in trading for A.J. Brown because of a player who the Eagles could get back for A.J. Brown if they do trade him to Jacksonville. And that's Brian Thomas Jr., who beats any player who the Patriots could trade in exchange for A.J. Brown and a lot of these other teams that would be offering draft picks. But if the Eagles aren't content with where their wide receiver room is and they want a young, emerging player who declined last year but had a great rookie year, Brian Thomas Jr. could fit that bill. His first 2 years in the NFL, he's been a damn good player. Now, he burst onto the scene as a first-round pick rookie in 2024, targeted 133 times. He caught 87 passes for nearly 1,300 yards, almost 15 yards per catch, 10 touchdowns, 6 drops. And in that loaded wide receiver class, you can make the argument that in 2024, he was the best wideout among those rookies. But then in 2025, even prior to the year, he voiced his displeasure with being with Jacksonville despite a great rookie year. I know the Eagles don't want to deal with those semantics at the wide receiver position, but this is a good young player who is on a very affordable contract. And could you imagine this Eagles wide receiver room being Devontae Smith, Mekhi Lemon, Brian Thomas Jr., Marquise Hollywood Brown? That is an excellent 1-4 setup right there. The yards per catch numbers the same in year 2 as in year 1, but the drops did go up and the touchdowns did go down, despite Jacksonville having a much better season as a team, as last year they were a legit contender in the AFC. Good job by Liam Cohen a year ago. Now, of course, the Patriots are still the front runners and the obvious front runners for A.J. Brown, but If there's competition for AJ, that then changes the going rate and it changes the asking price and changes the negotiation process to complete an AJ trade, which obviously is going to have to take place after June 1, given the dead money that is at play. Now, coming up next, Jalen Hurts is coachable. We're going to talk about another player who the Eagles could get back for AJ, so don't go anywhere. But first, today's Philadelphia Eagles Now, as I mentioned off the top, is presented by PrizePicks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in North America. With their new social feeds feature, you can give me a follow on the app at Chase_Senior. You can see some of my lineups before we talk about them here on the show. And with where we are right now, NBA playoffs are rolling, so too are the NHL playoffs. Football season is going to be here before we know it. The Philadelphia Phillies are rolling right now under Don Mattingly. They are now a game over 500 after a very impressive sweep over the Pittsburgh Steelers. So many options when you're putting together a lineup, and within that, you can make player picks, you can make team picks. All of your transactions are safe and secure, and PrizePicks is the go-to app for us here at Chat Sports. And that's why more than 20 million people have submitted a lineup with billions of dollars paid out. Western Conference Finals getting underway tonight. This is a 21.5x multiplier here to win $430. Chet Holmgren, less than 16 points. Dylan Harper, more than 19.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Jalen Williams is back, more than 15.5 points. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, back-to-back MVP awards for him, less than 30.5 points. And then Stephon Castle, less than 17 points. That is our lineup for tonight. Pick more, pick less. Pick PrizePicks. Use our code HMA. Play $5, get $50 instantly in lineups. As far as that new update on the A.J. Brown front, shout out to a friend of the show, John Marks of 97.5 The Fanatic, doing the midday show now on 97.5. He had Jeremy Fowler on, I believe, on Friday. And here is what Jeremy Fowler said about where things are with A.J. Brown. My best guess is that they probably already agreed to something loosely. They can always tweak that or rework it, but they've probably gotten to a point where the Eagles are probably getting a 1, maybe a future 1, maybe it's a 2028 first-round pick. I don't think they'll get more than that. I think that would be the max at this point. I'd be surprised. Philly, once upon a time, hoped for a 1 and a 2. I just don't see that happening. Maybe they can get creative and swap some mid to late first-round picks to sweeten it up. Is there another team that gets involved here? I have not found one. It was rumored that the Chiefs once upon a time. I was told no, though. The Rams, we know, looked into it. I don't know if it got to a serious level. So if you can get other teams involved, perhaps Philadelphia can get more in a return. But right now, it looks like there's one team, and that one team is the Patriots. And so Fowler kind of echoing what I mentioned earlier. If you get other teams in the running for A.J. Brown, and hopefully it can be leaks season to drive the price tag up, maybe Philadelphia can get the asking price and the haul back that they have been seeking by dealing away A.J. Brown. Something sneakily here as well. There continues to be reporting that the Patriots don't want to give the Eagles a 2027 first-round pick, and instead they want to give Philadelphia a 2028 first-round pick. For the Eagles, there's nothing wrong with getting a first-round pick in the future, but the Patriots are worried about a regression in 2026. Last year, they had an easy cupcake schedule, and up until the playoffs, smooth sailing for New England. This year, though, schedule came out last Thursday. That schedule is a gauntlet. It's a lot harder than it was last year. The Patriots lost the Super Bowl and got dominated by Seattle oftentimes, and we've seen it very often. The team that loses the Super Bowl has more of that Super Bowl hangover than the team that wins a Super Bowl. And why would the Patriots not want to give up a 2027 first-round pick and instead fork over a 2028 first-round pick? Well, if the Patriots give up a 2027 first-rounder and they're bad in 2026, they selected 31 prior to a trade-up in the draft a few weeks ago. Well, if they give up a 2027 first and they're bad in 2026, that pick skyrockets up the draft board And the Eagles, for instance, could be picking top 15 with New England's pick and still have their own first-round pick. Whereas if the Patriots are bad in 2026, they get to keep their 2027 first-rounder, which could be higher than 31st. Then the schedule gets easier in 2027, and then they give up a 2028 first-rounder that could be lower on the draft board. That's kind of the thinking, I think, from New England's point of view right now. So let's pop up the poll question here. This will be the pinned comment of today's show. Where will A.J. Brown get traded to? Let me know down in the comment section right now. So earlier, we talked about Brian Thomas Jr. as an option for the Eagles to get back for A.J. Brown. It would definitely make that wide receiver competition and up the ante within it and make it a deeper room. And I don't know if the Eagles get back a wide receiver for A.J. They might side more with draft picks, but Brian Thomas Jr. is one player. Kayshon Boutte is another player who continues to be talked about and thrown in some of these trade rumors in general for New England, but also in an A.J. Brown trade. And Boutte is away from the team right now, and that tells me that he feels as though he's going to get dealt or he's been told he's going to get traded, which I don't really understand all that much. Now, he is going into the final year of his rookie contract. He was a 6th-round pick out of LSU, where prior to some odd happenings when he was with LSU, just search that story. It involved a group orgy. Sorry, that's just the fact. He was looked at as a potential 1st or 2nd-round pick. Then that happened. He was going to go back to LSU. Then at the last moment, he declared for the NFL draft. His final year at LSU probably disappointed some people and himself with this production. And so he slid down draft boards. New England took him in the 6th round. Year 1, barely played. But the last 2 years in 2024 and in 2025, he showed a lot of improvements, and he had some pretty damn good production. I mean, 2024, 43 catches, 589 yards, 13.7 yards per catch. And then last year, probably is the number 2 wide receiver for New England. That's fair to say, behind Stephon Diggs. 33 catches, 551 yards, 16.7 yards per catch. And when I was at the Super Bowl and I was asking players who is next up at the wide receiver room, Matt Collins, and I believe Stephon Diggs as well, both said Kayshon Boutte as a player who's starting to find his stride, who's got high-level ability, who could end up breaking out here soon. And maybe the Eagles are interested in a player like that. Also, if they acquire Boutte and they want to give him a contract extension like they did with Dontavian Wicks, he's not going to cost all that much in an exploding wide receiver market. Let's get to this story as well. And I saw this come out on Sunday, but I was off this weekend and we're back in the studio on this Monday. Remember that ESPN story a few weeks ago where there were anonymous sources within the Eagles organization who called Jalen Hurts, quote, uncoachable? Well, it turns out Jalen Hurts is coachable, and this is coming from his quarterback's coach last year, Scott Loeffler, who was let go by Philadelphia and not retained as Sean Mannion came in and brought a lot of his own guys to this Eagles offensive coaching staff. Quote, I love the people with the Eagles. Really loved working with Jalen Hurts and the rest of the quarterbacks. We've got a great relationship still to this day, and I wish him nothing but the best. He's a super coachable, championship type of guy, and being able to work with him for a year was awesome. He's a champion in every aspect of the word. He's a hardworking guy. He's smart. He's a great competitor. What's crazy about that original report that Jalen Hurts is, quote, uncoachable. I think the leak was Kevin Patullo, but it goes against everything we've ever heard about Jalen Hurts. Coach's son, great for the culture, highly motivated, championship caliber guy, doesn't settle for mediocrity, always wants to be great. Scott Loeffler probably appreciated that. And that's why Loeffler continues to work with Jalen Hurts. Remember these photos from a couple of weeks back when Loeffler and Jalen were at 10th and Diamond at the Temple University football complex doing some off-season workouts? It's refreshing to hear this from Loeffler because that's a real source, and he put his name behind it. More from Loeffler on why he decided to work with Jalen this offseason. I was just continuing to work on the fundamentals and techniques that we started. He liked what we did. And I just wanted to brush his toolbox up and clean his toolbox up to be able to go out and start work with the new staff. I wish nothing but great success for the Eagles and Jalen in particular. And I don't know why Jalen Hurts continues to be one of the more polarizing players, not just quarterbacks, in the National Football League. He's been a model citizen. He's been a great teammate. He's been the face of the franchise. He's never gotten in trouble. He's never said anything that's put him in hot water. Yet people continue to hate on Jalen Hurts. It's just crazy to me, but let him hate. And I hope that Hurts uses that as motivation. It fuels him, and he comes out in 2026 and absolutely balls out, which I'm very confident that he's going to do that here this upcoming season. All right, don't forget to give me a follow on X, Instagram, TikTok, at Chase_Senior. You can find me on Facebook, Chase Senior Chat Sports. We're always talking birds.